A fisherman spent $180 on artificial lures, additives, and store-bought attractants. He fished for 4 hours. He caught 2 fish. The next day, another fisherman arrived at the same lake. He used a mixture that cost less than $3. In 40 minutes, he had 11 fish in his tackle box. Same time, same weather, same water. What was the difference? A technique that old fishermen used to concentrate entire schools of fish in a single spot. The industry knows this, but they'll never teach you. If this is your first time here, subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss any secrets the industry tries to hide from you. Let me tell you what happened on a lake in Missouri last September. 2 groups of fishermen. Same boat. Same rods. Same depth. The first group used the complete package from the store. $35 scent spray, $20 premium soft bait per pack, $40 liquid attractants. The result? In 3 hours, 2 small bass. Frustrating. The second group prepared a mixture at home the night before. Ingredients anyone has in their kitchen. Total cost? $2.80. They applied it to the water. 15 minutes later, the sonar started to detect fish arriving. Not 1 or 2. It was a school forming. In 2 hours, they caught 19 bass. The largest weighed 4 pounds. The guys from the first group didn't believe it. They asked to see what was being used. When they saw it, they laughed. They thought it was a joke. But the numbers don't lie. 19 against 2. Same water, same day, same time. The difference was in a technique that old Southern fishermen had known for decades. They create such a strong cloud of attraction that the fish simply can't resist. They go to investigate. They stay. They compete for the bait. You catch one, cast your line again, catch another. It's as if the entire lake wakes up and decides that this is the only place worth being. This is not an exaggeration. It's what happens when you understand how the sensory system of fish works and use that to your advantage. The industry sells attractants that try to imitate this. They charge a lot. But the original, the one that really works, costs pennies. This technique for concentrating schools of fish is just one of the things the industry doesn't want you to know. I've compiled everything they hide in the book High-Level Fishing, The Water Game. There you'll find practical freshwater and saltwater fishing techniques, how to quickly identify productive zones, structure, where the fish really are, never waste time in dead spots again, current, tide, and water flow, the invisible engine that controls fishing, positioning and angle of attack, what decides more than the lure, fish behavior patterns, how to predict where they'll be, real-time decision-making, stop trying and start deciding, and the mindset of a high-level fisherman, the difference between amateur and professional. All in one place, no fluff, straight to the point. The link is in the description. Now I'm going to reveal what this mixture is. Ready? Stale bread mixed with cornmeal, powdered milk, and a tablespoon of vanilla extract. That's right. You read correctly. It sounds like something a child would do in a science experiment. But there's a very solid scientific reason why this works better than any $50 product from Bass Pro Shops. Mississippi fishermen have used this for generations. In Tennessee, it was a family secret. In Louisiana, river dwellers prepare it before every fishing trip. In Texas, old catfish fishermen have mastered this technique. It was passed down from grandfather to grandson. They never wrote about it anywhere. They never posted it on a forum. They kept it secret because they knew its value. When the lure industry started to grow in the 80s, these techniques disappeared from conversations. Stores wanted to sell product. They didn't want you to know that a $3 recipe could beat anything on the shelf. Fish have the most developed olfactory system you can imagine. A bass can detect a single amino acid molecule dissolved in millions of liters of water. It's like smelling bacon frying from 10 kilometers away. Absurd, but that's exactly how it works. When you throw this mixture into the water, three things happen at the same time. First, the bread and cornmeal begin to break down. They create a visual cloud, suspended particles. The fish see this from afar. It looks like available food. They investigate. Second, the powdered milk releases lactose and proteins. These proteins break down into amino acids, the same amino acids that shrimp, insects, and small fish release when they are in the water. The fish's brain receives this chemical signal and translates it as vulnerable prey. It activates the hunting instinct. Third, the vanilla extract. This is the secret within the secret. Vanilla contains vanillin, an aromatic compound that spreads quickly in the water. It masks human odors from the bait, the line, the hands. It creates an olfactory trail that the fish follow. It's like a clear, illuminated path straight to your bait. These three elements together create what biologists call a feeding frenzy trigger. The fish isn't just curious. It's in competition mode. It sees other fish coming, senses the compounds in the water, sees the cloud of particles. Its brain sends a message: eat now or miss your chance. This surpasses any synthetic attractant because it's not trying to imitate nature. It's using the same elements that nature uses. Now I'm going to teach you how to prepare this. You'll need 2 slices of stale bread. Any type will do, but white bread works best. Half a cup of yellow cornmeal. 2 tablespoons of whole milk powder. 1 tablespoon of pure vanilla extract. Half a cup of warm water. Total? $2.80. You can make 5 applications with this. Each application costs 56 cents. Take a large bowl. Tear the bread into small pieces. Throw it in. Add the cornmeal. Mix well. Add the milk powder. Mix again. Pour in the warm water little by little. Stir until a sticky dough forms. It can't be too dry. It can't be too runny. The ideal point is when you can mold a ball with your hand and it holds its shape, but releases small pieces when you squeeze it. Now comes the secret. Add the vanilla extract. Mix well. Let it rest for 30 minutes. This resting time is crucial. The cornmeal absorbs the moisture. The milk powder begins to dissolve. The compounds integrate. After 30 minutes, the mixture is ready. The color should be between beige and light yellow. The smell will be sweet, slightly fermented. Take balls the size of a walnut. Place them in a plastic container with a lid. It lasts 5 days in the refrigerator. It lasts 2 months in the freezer. It defrosts quickly. It's ready to use in 10 minutes. If you want to further enhance this recipe, you can add some extra ingredients. Half a teaspoon of garlic powder creates an even stronger olfactory trail. Fish associate the smell of garlic with food. A tablespoon of honey dissolves faster in water and creates a sweet trail that attracts everything from sunfish to catfish. A sachet of unflavored gelatin increases the viscosity of the mixture. It stays suspended in the water longer. It doesn't sink as quickly. The cloud lasts longer. The recipe now covers 3 of the fish's senses: smell with the powdered milk and vanilla, taste with the amino acids and honey, and sight with the bread and flour particles creating the cloud. It's a complete sensory trap. Now you must be wondering, if it works so well, why don't they sell this in stores? The answer is simple: profit margin. The fishing industry in the United States moves $49 billion a year. Artificial lures, synthetic attractants, scent sprays, all with absurd markups. A 2-ounce bottle of liquid attractant costs $25. The cost of production? Less than $2. They sell synthetic vanillin mixed with glycerin and water. You pay for the packaging, the marketing, the name on the bottle. If every fisherman knew they could make the same thing at home for pennies, the shelves would be full. Unsold product. That's why nobody teaches you this. Fishing magazines are paid for by advertisers. Big channels have brand sponsorships. Everyone has a reason not to talk about techniques that cost almost nothing. But the old fishermen know. They always knew. They've used it their whole lives. They've caught more fish than any pro staff from a famous brand. When using this mixture, the process is straightforward. Take a ball the size of a walnut. Throw it into the water where you're going to fish. About 3 meters from the shore if you're fishing from the shore. Under the boat if you're anchored. The current will spread it. You'll see the cloud forming. Particles floating. Slowly dispersing. Wait 10 minutes. That's how long it takes for the fish to detect the compounds and start approaching. After 10 minutes, cast your normal bait. It can be artificial, it can be live, it doesn't matter. The difference is that now the fish are already there, concentrated, competing. The bait enters the water and they attack. Timing is important. It works best in the early morning, between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. when the fish are most active. Late afternoon also works, between 5 p.m. and sunset. At these times, the metabolic activity of the fish increases. They are looking for food. For base, this technique works in any season but explodes in spring and autumn. For catfish, it works year-round, but it's unbeatable in the summer at night. For crappie, use it on structures like logs and docks. For bluegill, use it in shallow water with vegetation. Avoid using it in very fast-flowing water. The cloud disperses too quickly. It doesn't concentrate. Use it in lakes, reservoirs, and slow-moving rivers. If the water is very cold, below 50 degrees Fahrenheit, add more vanilla. The fish's metabolism slows down, but their sense of smell remains sharp. If the water is very hot, above 80 degrees, use less. The fish become lethargic and won't move as much. The most common mistake is using too much. 1 ball per session is enough. If you throw in 3 or 4 balls, you saturate the water. The fish get confused. They don't know where the smell is coming from. They lose the trail. Less is more. And remember, if you want the complete knowledge the industry has hidden, it's all in high-level fishing, the water game. There you'll learn water reading, identify productive zones in seconds, structure and positioning, where the fish really are. Current and tide control, use the force of the water to your advantage. Behavioral patterns, predict fish movements. High-level mindset, stop trying and start deciding. The link is in the first pinned comment. It's the knowledge they tried to bury, now in your hands. Think about what happens on your next fishing trip. While others spend $150 on branded lures, you use a recipe that cost $2.80. In 15 minutes, you see the sonar marking fish arriving. A school forms. In an hour, you have 8, 10, 12 fish in the box. Your friends will ask what the secret is. You decide whether to tell them or keep this advantage to yourself. But there's another side to this. When you learn these techniques, you connect with a tradition that has existed for generations. Those old fishermen didn't have the internet. They didn't have YouTube. They didn't have Bass Pro Shops on the corner. They had observation, patience, and experimentation. They tested, adjusted, and perfected. They passed on their knowledge orally. Today, we forget that. We think everything has to come in a colorful package with a guarantee of results. But the truth is that the best techniques were created by people who spent more time on the water than in a store. They learned by reading the behavior of the fish, not by reading advertisements. The industry wants to convince you that you need the newest equipment, the most expensive bait, the most technological additive. But the truth is that a mixture of bread with cornmeal and vanilla, which costs less than a coffee, can surpass any shelf product. This isn't about being against technology. It's about understanding that sometimes the simplest solution is the most effective. When you master techniques like that, you stop depending on stores. You stop thinking that fishing well is a matter of spending more. Fishing well is knowledge. It's observation. It's respect for what works, not for what is sold. What will change in your next fishing trip now that you know this? Are you going to keep buying expensive products that promise miracles? Or are you going to try a technique that fishermen have used for decades with proven results? Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video, where I'll teach you another technique that the industry will never admit works better than anything they sell. There's one thing I haven't mentioned yet that makes all the difference in the results: the water temperature when you apply this mixture. Most fishermen ignore this. They throw the ball in the water and expect miracles. But the compounds behave differently depending on the temperature. Water between 60 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit is ideal. In this range, the vanilla disperses quickly. The amino acids in the milk powder become active. The cloud of particles remains suspended for longer. The result? The fish detect everything with maximum efficiency. Now, if the water is below 55 degrees, you need to adjust. The fish's metabolism slows down. They won't swim 50 meters to investigate a smell. They need a stronger, more concentrated trail. In these cases, double the amount of vanilla extract. Use 2 tablespoons instead of 1, and throw the mixture closer to where you suspect the fish are, on structures, near logs, in depressions in the bottom. Water above 80 degrees is a different scenario. The fish become stressed. They seek areas with more oxygen. They chase after food less. But their sense of smell continues to function. So you do the opposite. Reduce the vanilla by half. Increase the honey. The honey creates a sweet trail that works better in warm water. It attracts bluegill, crappie, even bass that would normally be inactive. Let me tell you another true story. A Kentucky fisherman tested this technique on 3 different lakes on the same weekend. Friday, lake with water at 68 degrees. Used the standard recipe. Catched 14 bass in 3 hours. Saturday, lake with water at 52 degrees. Increase the vanilla. Catched 9 bass in 2.5 hours. Sunday, lake with water at 82 degrees. Added extra honey, cut the vanilla. Catched 11 bass in 4 hours. 3 different conditions, 3 simple adjustments. Consistent result. Meanwhile, the guys using store-bought products on the same lake on Sunday caught 3 fish in total. They spent $200 on new equipment. The Kentucky guys spent $8 all week. The difference wasn't in the money. It was in understanding how to adapt the technique to each situation. That's what the old fishermen did. They didn't blindly follow recipes. They observed the water, felt the temperature, and adjusted. The industry doesn't teach this because it's not marketable. You can't package knowledge in a box and charge $40 for it. But that's what separates those who fish well from those who just spend well. Another variation that works incredibly well: replace the bread with rolled oats. Oats have an advantage. They float longer before sinking. They create a cloud that lasts up to 20 minutes on the surface. Perfect for topwater or subsurface fishing. You use the same ratio: half a cup of rolled oats, half a cup of cornmeal, 2 tablespoons of powdered milk, 1 tablespoon of vanilla. Add a little more water because oats absorb less. The result is a more liquid paste. You don't shape balls. You pour it directly into the water with a spoon. It forms a floating layer. Bass, pickerel, pike, they all come to investigate. They think it's a swarm of insects or farmed fish feed that someone threw in. They attack anything that moves near that area. It works extremely well in fish farms. The fish are conditioned to associate floating particles with food. You use that to your advantage. Some people ask, what if I want to fish in saltwater? Does it work? Yes, but you need an adjustment. Saltwater is denser. The particles sink faster, so you add coarse salt to the mixture. It seems counterintuitive, but the coarse salt balances the density of the mixture with the density of the water. The cloud stays suspended longer. And it has another effect. It creates saline contrast. Saltwater fish detect changes in salinity. When your mixture with coarse salt enters the water, it creates micro-variations. The fish interpret this as movement of crustaceans, shrimp, things that stir up the bottom and alter the local chemistry. They come to investigate. Redfish, snook, trout, they all respond. A fisherman in Florida uses this in flats. He throws the mixture near mangroves, waits 15 minutes, casts an artificial lure, catches 5, 6 redfish in a morning. People around him using live shrimp catch 1, maybe 2. The difference is in concentrating the fish beforehand, not in having the perfect bait. Concentration is everything. Now comes the part nobody talks about. The ethical issue. Some states have regulations on chumming, which is throwing food into the water to attract fish. You need to check local laws before using any attraction technique. In most places, using small amounts of attractant is legal. But in some lakes, rivers, or during certain seasons, it may be prohibited. It's not a matter of hiding. It's a matter of respecting the rules that exist to protect the resource. Always check. The good news is that this mixture isn't considered chumming in most jurisdictions because the quantity is minimal. You're not feeding the fish, you're creating an olfactory trail, but even so, confirm. Respecting the environment and the rules is part of being a responsible fisherman. The old fishermen knew this. They caught fish, but they never overdid it. They never destroyed the place. They maintained the balance. We have to do the same. There's a technical detail that changes everything when you fish in large reservoirs. The wind. Wind creates surface currents. If you cast your lure and the wind is strong, the cloud will move. You need to anticipate this. Cast upwind against the wind. The current brings the cloud back closer to you. The fish follow the trail and appear exactly where you want them. If you cast downwind with the wind, the cloud will move away. The fish stay far away. You lose the advantage. Experienced anglers do this automatically. They don't even think about it. But for beginners, it's a common mistake that ruins the technique. Observe the wind. Plan your lure. It makes the difference between catching 2 fish and catching 12. It's that simple. The industry doesn't teach this because it doesn't sell wind. It doesn't sell observation. It sells product. But a product without knowledge is a waste of money.